But we're gonna go live now on our custom streaming services for everybody out there to see us, because basically it's really cool what's going on, and I'll share the information. But there is so much going on. There is so much information. There's so much news. There's so much everything going on in the world, including the Mastermind show, which is pretty cool. And I'm really happy to be able to keep doing this. This is our 101st meeting, I believe. 101st meeting. Yep.
Oh, it's 100,
101st
isn't it?
meeting. We crossed 100 last week. So last week was 100. This would make it this week 101. Yeah, 101. Not that I'm a genius when it comes to math or science or anything like that, but I do know how to count past 100. Once we get up to like 115, I'm going to have to use a calculator. I'm sure of that. But other than that, I'll be able to cover this. Anyway, let me just do this real quick. So let me welcome everybody to the Mastermind RoundTable, where we discuss how current events affects our lives, presented by SoundBroker.com, the name to trust when it comes to buying or selling of entertainment production equipment. Just remember, everything you hear is an opinion, so do your own research. And I want to welcome everybody to the room. So, and I hope everybody had a great week. There's so much news out there that it might be impossible to cover everything that we want to talk about this week. But in the interim, how's everybody doing? Anybody feel like saying anything before we get into the meat and the potatoes of the show, of the news stories that I want to cover?
Well, I had a great week. I did electrons for 10 days. We had a great show. We had a fundraiser in the Wagga Wagga town. We raised nearly $200,000. And I got to use, I had a CL5, I had a VDOS system and a JBL line array above it. And they were having a bit of a punch up, the two line arrays, like the VDOS and the JBL. They'd get you there, but it was a great week and a great show.
And by the way, just so everybody who's listening know that the accent that he has, even though he doesn't think he has an accent, he's from Australia, So, and it's Wagga Wagga, if I remember correctly. Is that right?
Wagga Wagga. Yeah, Wagga Wagga. Spelt Wagga Wagga, but pronounced Wagga Wagga.
I learned a long time ago, it really doesn't matter how it's pronounced as long as you know how it's pronounced. And that's a kind of an interesting thing, because I remember when I was a kid, I was only 17 and we were going someplace and I needed ID, and the guy, in those days they didn't have pictures on the ID, so he handed me someone else's license, and I started pronouncing the name, and I'm saying, was it Schwitzy, what's the difference? The guy's not going to know how you pronounce your name. Just whatever he says, it's fine. Say, yeah, that's it. So, that's the one thing that I do know, is that it doesn't matter how it's pronounced as long as you know where you are. And I have something that is so cool. Have you guys heard about this map system called What 3 Words? Have you heard about this yet?
What's it called? Mac system?
No, it's called what3words.com. What 3 Words. And it's a Google app, and it is an Android app. It's also a Mac app. It's also on a website, of course, because it's .com. What 3 Words, okay? And we'll throw the link in the chat. And this guy, he was a band. He was a production manager for a band. And basically what he says, when band musicians and roadies kept getting lost trying to find the gigs in the festival, Chris Sheldrick knew that there had to be a better way to talk about locations. And him and his team came up, what they did was they divided the world in 10-foot squares on the map. And they gave every one of these 10-foot squares a three-name code word. So, like, for example, the Empire State Building would be heave, wipes, clay. So if you type in your browser right now, w3w.co, and I don't know if it works with .com. I didn't try it with .com, but w3w.co/heave, the word heave, .wipes.clay, your map, you're going to see the direct location of the Empire State Building. If you look in the chat, Tina put the link there, and basically every place in the world you can find, and they're using this now all over Africa, because basically, there's not some street addresses, or wherever there's no street addresses. And this is as accurate as you could get. So anywhere in the world right now, you could give people the 3 words where you are in this, and they will be able to plug it into the map and know exactly your location, which is really cool. Like, for example, SoundBroker is Fish Forget Global. So if you do that, and it's a really cool app, because what you do is it interfaces with all of the other map systems, which is including Google Maps, Waze, Apple Maps, any other map system. They have it all down to a science, and it's being accepted now by the United Nations. And soon this is going to replace a lot of the addresses in the world, so that people would be able to, you'd be able to go get your mail by using, and that's how they're delivering mail into the outback right now, by using this system. So it's really, really cool. If you haven't heard about it, you've heard about it now. And the last thing I'll say about it, there's a TED Talk, and we'll throw the link into the chat about that as well, of the TED Talk, which is super cool. The guy is, his explanation of how it's working right now is very spectacular. So it'll also help in our industry as well, so that, if you have a gig that's out in the field, you could just give them the 3 words, they'll look it up, and they'll get directly to where you are. So if you haven't heard about it, did anybody Google it while we were talking about it?
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. And you mean every 10 feet on Earth has 3 words?
That's right.
That boggles the mind on how they could come up with that.
Yeah, it's trillions, I believe. It's trillions of words. Only he goes into the great detail of how many square feet there are on the planet and this kind of thing. But, it's a very impressive thing, and it's free. I don't know how the guy's making any money out of this, but he's donated this to the world, so it's really cool. It's just super cool.
Wow.
So, and speaking of super cool, I wanted to let you know now, this, I don't understand this, but, every week I get a letter from LinkedIn telling me about how many people have searched for me, And this week I was searched on LinkedIn by Marriott, Coldwell Banker, Lexmark, and Tesla. That, to me, is impressive. Almost as impressive is that we've had 99 views of last week's show, the 100th episode. 99 people viewed it just on my Jan Landy Facebook. Unfortunately, I can't tell you how many people watched it on LinkedIn or the Mastermind RoundTable Facebook page or SoundBroker itself, because now we're streaming through YouTube on SoundBroker, which is really, really cool. And so I want to thank everybody who's watching and listening in. We also we also put this as a podcast. So there's a lot of ways that people could hear this show after. So we're giving a lot of information, and people are getting benefit out of it, and that's a great thing. And I want to thank everybody who participates involved in the show. Thank you so much for everything that you've done. I mean, this is 101st episode of this thing, and I don't think I'm going to stop at least next week. So I'm going to keep going as long as we get. And so we now have 272 YouTube subscribers as well. Not that I'm saying that they all watch it, but so we are getting our views out in public, which is really, really cool. And I just wanted to share that and thank everybody. So, next thing on my agenda is to let you know that next week is Small Business Week in the United States. So May 2nd to 6th is National Small Business Week. A time to, here's the BS of it all, a time to celebrate the tenacity of America's entrepreneur. And Google is putting it on. And if you want to go and be part of the meeting, we'll throw the link in the chat how you can. It's actually on May 5th at 9 a.m. and they're going to be talking how to create style guides and brand kits to better build your consistency and attract more customers. So if that's something that interests you, Google is putting on a seminar that it's free to the public, and we'll throw the link in the chat. So anyway, before I go on with any other stories, anybody have anything that they want to say?
Hey, David?
Yeah?
If you type in Cornflakes Wayne, where does it take you?
Just 2 words? I think you have 3 words.
Wayne, Cornflakes Wayne. That's 3 words.
Oh, oh, okay. I don't know. Let's find out. Cornflakes Wayne. Where do you type it in? Oh, here it is.
You moved rooms.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in my unit now, and yes, I'm settled in here now, and that's good. Yeah, it's very good. How's Seattle? How's Seattle?
This time of year, the weather changes every 30 seconds. You
That
literally
looks
go
like-
from sunshine to hail in like 10 minutes.
No, Wayne doesn't exist. Cornflakes Waken, but no Cornflakes Wayne. So
No. I had Uncle Toby's oats this morning.
There you go. Now where will that put you?
Uncle Toby's oats.
Something tells me the restroom, but I don't think that's on the map. But no, I'm telling you, this thing is really cool because we're up in Shoof Pond, where Bo's coconut plantation is, where we were up this week. There is no address to the house. I mean, it's really rural, and yet by doing a quick search. Now, if I would have been up there, I would have been able to open the What 3 Words app, and it would have given me that. But by doing a quick search on the map, I was able to find out exactly where they were on the map. Of course, the words get a little mistangled in there because not everything is a simple word. So some of the words get more complex because I guess how many words really are there? And I guess the combination of 3 words is enough to cover everywhere in the world. But, So things are coming back to normal right now, it seems. Disneyland just lifted their mask mandate on all the parks and shuttle buses. So the airlines have lifted their masks. And, I don't like to get political on this show at all, and I'm going to try not to. But speaking of Disneyland, as you guys all know, that Disneyland, and I did not know this until this happened, that Disneyland was its own government. I didn't know that in Orlando, that basically when Walt Disney started Disneyland, they let Disneyland become their own government. Now, if you've ever been to Disneyland from a technical standpoint of view, and you've ever gotten that technical tour, which I have, it is unbelievably impressive. They have the latest and the greatest and the state of the art in any kind of communication system, automation systems, just system upon system. Every system they have is just state of the art. And as a matter of fact, in Anaheim, Disneyland provides the emergency communication systems for the Anaheim police. I don't know if you know that. And I don't know if I'm making this up or not, or if it's changed. Does anybody know anything about what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, Disneyland provides the entire infrastructure for, in Orlando anyway, not Anaheim, but in Orlando, they have the whole infrastructure, the water, the power, the sewage, the street paving, everything is run by Disney. And when DeSantis took that away from them, all of that now has to be run by the county. And all of a sudden, they don't have the money for it because Disney was spending a fortune on it. So now all these taxpayers in Florida are getting their property taxes boosted by at least 25%. Plus, Disney had a bond that it wrote for $1 billion to make money to do this, to borrow money, and the bond goes along with the authority. So Disney just made $1 billion by not having to pay back its bond. They're reaping a fortune out of this, and the homeowners in Orange County are getting totally screwed.
Yeah, let me just read you a little bit about the article, and I don't know if we have the link about this, but basically, 1967, 25,000 acres in Orange and Osceola counties gave Disney the self-governing status and also responsible for its own municipal services. So now, there's an interesting thing about this, that this is probably never going to happen, and I'll tell you why in a second. Because it might never even be legal what the legislature did, because the Reedy Creek District would be dissolved June 1st, 2023. Now remember that Florida law says that special districts can only be dissolved if the majority of the property owners in the district agree and vote on it. And as you know, Disney is basically the only property holder there in this county. So you got to wonder how they're going to vote on it. But Reedy Creek is what's known as an independent tax district, meaning that the tax revenue it generates are in addition to its local tax obligations rather than a replacement of them. If the district is eliminated, then the tax payment to Orange and Oswego counties would not increase. So basically, they would lose money everywhere. And then what's not clear is that the local governments would now have to pay Disney's municipal services. And oh yeah, they would also have to pay this $1 billion bond back. So the reality is it probably was just a political event for, whatever the reason was that the governor wanted to do it. But however, it's probably not going to happen. But it just seemed to me that it was very impressive to find out that Disney was its own country, or basically its own state in the country, which I had no idea. And I don't think most people did know about that.
Self-sufficient.
Yep.
It said it's like the Vatican in Rome. It's its own country.
Yeah. And I will tell you, if you've never been to Disneyland underground, the underground services that provide all of the services that the average visitor to the happiest place on earth never sees is so impressive. It is, you can eat off the floors or the walls. It's as clean as can be, and it's just immaculate. And not only that, it's efficient and it's state of the art. And if you ever get a chance to take a technical tour of Disneyland, just run. Go to it, and you will love it. It will be the most impressive thing that you will ever see in your life, other than if you can get up on a space shuttle, I'm sure. All right, anyway, I thought I'd say that. Has anybody else taken the tour other than me?
No, I've been hoping to, but I couldn't.
Yeah, it's very impressive, very impressive. Yeah, that's the one benefit that I have. Yeah, go ahead, Wayne.
Yeah, does Mickey Mouse become president?
Well, it's a non-political thing, so we will never run for president. That's a good thing. We want to keep this. I really do want to keep this non-political. It was just from the standpoint. The reason I brought this up is because one is it's a major story that's running around the world right now. Because everybody, whenever you want to go travel, you want to go to Disneyland. I mean, if you come to the United States, there used to be a Super Bowl campaign that after any major league sport, when they won, they would do an ad where now that you've won the trophy, where you going? And everybody, we're going to Disneyland. So, Disneyland, that was a great marketing campaign. And it became, still when you think about it, when I talk to, even Bo knows about Disneyland, and she wants, but of course, when you're not from America, you think everything is close by. So she thinks if we're in Las Vegas, we'll just go to Disneyland every day.
That's only 3 hours. Come on.
So have they ever given like Mickey Mouse or Yogi Bear an Oscar?
Yogi Bear.
Well, one of them. Well,
you're convoluting Hanna-Barbera and Disneyland.
Disney, I know. But they're both actors. They act. They do lots of acting. Have they ever been given?
Hey, boo boo.
Hey, boo boo.
I think about it. The cartoons today are a lot different than if you've watched Saturday cartoons. And I remember when I was a kid, I used to watch a lot of cartoons. My favorite was the Rocky and Bullwinkle show. I remember every day I would come home from school and I would watch Rocky and Bullwinkle, and then right after that it would go into Soupy Sales, and then after that I'd have to stop watching TV to do my homework.
Yeah,
but
I was a bit of a Yogi Bear I was a bit of a Yogi Bear fan. Mickey Mouse,
Yeah.
but Yogi Bear particularly.
See, I thought you would be a Huckleberry Hound kind of guy.
Why, him
you know,
as well.
that's-
Yeah, Huckleberry Hound. Yeah, Huckleberry. And there's
You know-
actually, there's a clip. I don't know if I've mentioned it, but there's a little short from 1959. I found it on YouTube. I found it a lot, and then it disappeared. But it was Drawers Butler, and they were doing Yogi Bear comes in, and he's got the Kellogg's packet. He's talking about the Kellogg's packet, and they do the band, which is the outros and the intros of those series back in that day. The band is fantastic. But anyway, Huckleberry comes in, and Yogi Bear had an echo, and the whole little thing was just the whole little skit was just about this echo. It was hilarious, but I've never been able to find it again. And then a Huckleberry Hound describes an echo, and it's fantastic. The acoustical, I forget how it goes now, the words, but it's hilarious. If you can find it, it's just Yogi Bear's echo. It's on YouTube, but I haven't been able to find it. But it's a great piece. It's hilarious. And
Well, the way I look at it, Wayne, is if it's not on YouTube, it never existed. That's all there is to it, you know.
Oh no, it was there. I couldn't believe how Huckleberry Hound described the what echo was. It was very, very good. It was quite funny.
You know, when I think about it, there was, and I don't know why I just remember this particular word, but it was, and I don't remember the cartoon show either, but it must have been the Dick Tracy, because I just remember Hemlock Holmes talking into his watch to Dick Tracy. Hemlock Holmes calling Dick Tracy. And I just remember that for some reason. And today, that's a reality.
Yeah, well, Get Smart used to have the shoe phone.
Yeah, well, that's not a reality.
Well, yeah, it could be. Well, I suppose it's not a reality, but I'm sure you could, mate. No problem why you couldn't.
But what's really cool is NASA right now just beamed a hologram of a doctor into the International Space Station. So Star Trek fans, make sure you're sitting up for this. We're coming close to being beamed up as evidenced by a lifelike digital rendering of a NASA doctor appearing as a hologram in the International Space Station. Now, if that's not cool, I don't know what is. No. Has anybody else heard about it? Or is that new for you too?
That's new.
New.
Yeah, pretty good. Sorry, Bruce isn't here with Bruce. I'm sure would have an opinion on that for sure. So a lot of us go on diets. And I have heard about intermittent fasting forever. And I always thought that was something that really worked. And I was taking these black pepper pills as well. Has anybody ever heard of intermittent fasting?
Yeah.
Well, there was a study done. There was a huge study done, and I'll throw the link in it. That basically it turns out that intermittent fasting is non-existent. It doesn't really work. They say that there is no scientific proof that intermittent fasting works. So if you've been intermittent fasting, the time has come for you to look into it yourself. Let's see, what else is new and exciting? There is a new technique right now with scientists. I don't know if you guys are experiencing mosquitoes where you are. Do you guys have mosquitoes where you are?
No.
Steve, are there mosquitoes
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We've got them big time here.
Right. What about up in Seattle? Are there mosquitoes? It's a humid place.
We have them, but it's only pretty short-lived amount of time.
Too cold up there.
Cold.
And what about you, Wayne? You got them in Australia, mosquitoes?
Yeah, in the summertime we get quite a lot. Yes, you can actually.
Okay. Well,
They're a
check
dangerous
this
animal.
out. This story, it just broke right now. Jurassic Park genetically modified mosquitoes actually work. So they're basically what the scientists have done. If they made mutant male mosquitoes that they won't kill the mosquitoes, but basically what they do is they destroy their ability to want to suck your blood, and also they basically, they basically become dormant mosquitoes. So insects can still eat them, but they won't eat human beings, so their life expectancy would be a lot less, but they will no longer become a problem for biting people, which is great. And of course, that makes you part of the food chain. It's like going in the water. The second you put your foot in the water, boom, I feel like I'm part of the food chain. Same thing with mosquitoes. So that's something that I thought that I would throw in and let you guys know. And another interesting story along those lines is April 29th is National Safe Digging Month and Arbor Day. So go plant a tree, but don't dig it. Don't do any digging. That's all I can say. Or be safe when you do the digging. So, anybody planting a tree? Nobody. All right.
Planting a what?
Nobody. Anybody planting a tree?
Oh, planting a tree.
On the 29th, it's National Arbor Day. Here's to you.
I've got a few spots that I'd like to plant trees, but I don't know if would be allowed to.
Yep. One more thing I want to talk about with science and medicine. A single blood test now can detect more than 50 types of cancer. Researchers are one step closer to making a multi-cancer early detection, it's called MCED, test that can detect over 50 types of cancer. It's available right now to select candidates, those who are 50 and older and have some sort of condition and are at risk for the disease. But this is going to become a real thing for everybody, where they're going to be able to early diagnose whether or not you have cancer from a single blood test. And I thought that was something that I would share with everybody, because more people die from cancer, I think, every year than everything else. Even motorcycle accidents here in Phuket. So I thought I'd share that. So there you go. And we all know how bad that cancer could be. Another. Oh, I have one more. One more article. Researchers have identified 42 new genes associated with the development of Alzheimer's disease. So if you think you're forgetting about a show that you did, this could be a cure for that. The most common form of dementia, according to a new study released this week. So now scientists hope to have more opportunities which to develop therapeutics, and so they're getting closer and closer to curing dementia, which is really cool. I guess because aren't we our own memories as you get older? I mean, isn't that who makes you up as, you think about things? One of the things that really get to me at times is when I have a friend that passed and I have an idea or I have a question about something that they would have been involved in my life. And I think, I got to call Peter, and I can't call Peter because he's not there. Does that happen to anybody? Or am I unique in that?
Well, it happens to me, but with my parents. Of course.
Yeah. So, anyway, let's see. What else did I want to talk about? The Global Citizen Live event. Has anybody heard about this? It's aimed to combat poverty and protect the planet from climate change. And there's a lot of people. They've raised now over $1 billion they've planted over 157 million trees. And Billie Eilish and a bunch of other stars. Leonardo DiCaprio is involved in it. It's a big, big, big push. The Global Citizen Live event, they do it every year. And I'm sure they do it from Central Park, as a matter of fact, if I remember correctly. We probably have all seen that. And so that's about to happen as well. So with that in mind, I think I've covered everything that I wanted to cover as far as news goes. So does anybody have anything that they want to say?
You're not going to talk about Twitter?
Let's talk about it. What about Twitter?
Well, didn't something just happen?
Well, basically what's happened is Elon Musk has tried to, or is attempting right now, to take the company private. He's tendered an offer of to the Twitter board, which they've accepted. And now he's got banks that are going to finance it, and he could easily become the owner of Twitter and take it off the public stock exchange and own it himself, which will be a scary thought. But when you think about it, he has the right to do it, being living in America, because isn't America capitalistic? So there is no guarantee of private free speech. There's only a guarantee of government not protecting your free speech, interjecting in your free speech, which is the First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States, for those people that don't know that out there. So what do you guys think about it? You think it's good or bad?
Not sure.
I have a feeling it's a little of both.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like he has some things he wants to do that sound okay. Get rid of the bots, make it harder for those to post things, from that aren't really put on by people. And on the other hand, there's no censorship, meaning that what's he going to allow as far as crazies go? How far is he going to let it go? So we'll have to wait and see, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, if something goes wrong right now and he doesn't I just read an article in Yahoo Finance that he's on the hook personally, for $1 billion right now. That if it falls through, that he's on the hook for $1 billion. And his stock just took a major hit. Went down like $6 yesterday. And so seeing he's, it's mostly his money, or a lot of his money, he lost a ton of dough in that. So anyway, I just think that there are people that are saying that, he shouldn't have the right to do it. And although I don't think it's a good thing for one man to have that kind of power, and to have that kind of control of it, I still think that because it's America, that he should have the right to do it. Another story that's related to that is Bernie Sanders. And without getting I don't want to get political about it, but Bernie Sanders is basically saying that Jeff Bezos made a lot of money. And he feels that Jeff Bezos made too much money. And he feels that Jeff Bezos should give all his employees a raise. And he said that. And I think about that, and I don't know what your opinion is. I believe everybody should make a fair wage. I think that if you're running a company, you really need to take care of your employees. I know I do. I hope Tina agrees with that. But the reality is that there's nobody to tell you what you need to do with the money that you make if you in the beginning were the one who took all the risk when you started, and there was no money there, and you had to put up your own money, and you had to put your own. If I remember correctly, Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, they all started working out of their garage, and they took a huge risk, and then they had to capitalize it, and they put themselves on the hook for lots of money and lots of responsibility. And I would believe that at that point in time, that whatever you make, you're entitled to, because you took the risk when nobody else was willing to take the risk, and you could have failed, and you would have been in real debt, and you would have had to start all over again. What do you guys feel about that?
Well, I don't know if it was Obama, but somebody was talking about that, saying that these guys didn't do it in a vacuum. They had the infrastructure of the United States supporting them. And somebody has to pay for that. And if they made a lot of money because of the infrastructure, then they should pay a lot of money because of the infrastructure. The roads, the traffic, the communications, all of that stuff is why they made money. So it's not done in a vacuum.
Yes, but you're convoluting that in regards to what he pays the employees to the taxes they should pay the government. That's what that's all about.
Right.
In other words, when they're in regards to that, they're saying, look, you should pay taxes because you use the roads, you use the postal system, you get water, you get electricity. all of that stuff that we provide for your infrastructure, you should pay taxes for that. That has nothing to do with paying the employees. That has to do with paying your fair share of taxes to the municipalities. That's what it is. But municipalities do that. For example, if I had a big company, even not such a big company, I could go to the State Development Board and say, I want to move my company to your state. What are you willing to give me? And they will make you a deal. Like, for example, when Tesla moved to Nevada, they gave them a huge deal where they were able to collect sales tax and not pay it to the government for a period of years. And that's typical for a lot of big corporations that move businesses to other states, where the government will give them all sorts of tax breaks for the first 10 years, 15 years, whatever. And so that's not an unusual thing. That's just something that comes with doing business. But we have to stop the show, ladies and gentlemen, because we have a regular that's back in the room, two regulars back in the room that haven't been in the room in a long time, and I'd like to say hello to Kenny Newman and Ken Porter. So, or I could have said hi, Ken. And
Ken, hey, it's the Ken brothers, huh?
Hello, Ken.
Hey, how's it going?
Well, I just stopped back from doing a show, out downtown doing a show, and I ended up with an eye infection. And then I'm trying to get my yard back in shape after being gone for a week. So I'm kind of like not look very good.
Well, your name looks good, except I think your first letter of your name is small, and your last name is in capital letters. So that's it. Small Ken, big Porter. That's all there is to it. I'm sorry to hear that you're not feeling well, but I'm sure you will get better.
Yeah.
Thanks. The other issue about Bezos and Amazon that I have is that there's a lot of illegal aliens in Nashville that are driving for them because they got the state to give them the a lot of them are CDL license, driving beater trucks that people don't want anymore, and they're pulling a lot of stuff for Amazon deliveries for Amazon.
Now that's something that's very interesting, because basically what they're doing on the long haul stuff, on the big trucks, they are really working very diligently right now to make that automated. Whereas it would all be computer-driven big trucks going from the long haul. And that's why it's probably hard to get drivers right now, because you know that if you go into truck driving right now, it'll be a limited time that you are going to be able to continue doing that job, because you know that somewhere down the road, they're going to perfect that automated driving system, and then you're going to be out of job. So yeah, I would think that anybody who would want to take those jobs right now are looking at it from a short-term perspective rather than a long-term perspective. But then we're having trouble.
You think that's going to make us? You think the automated driving is going to make a serious dent in long haul trucking driver needs?
Not in the near future, but in the distant future, yeah. I would say that once they perfect it, and they could invest X dollar in a system that's going to get the delivery goods from point A to point B, rather than paying an unknown entity a larger amount of money every week. I think that it's going to be a matter of economics before they cut out that job.
So what's your prediction of how long that's going to be before that happens?
I don't have a prediction, but
come on, your crystal ball's not working.
I would say it's probably in the next 20 years. We'll see it in our lifetimes. Everyone in this room will see it in their lifetimes, unless we get hit by a truck before that.
I think what they're going to do.
Automated one.
Exactly.
I think what's going to happen is that they found that the way the systems are now, the sophistication of the systems now, when you put them in city environments, they make lots of mistakes. But when you put them on limited access highways, they're like 100% or close to 100% safe. So what will probably happen in the beginning is that the long haul from entrance to exit is going to be automated, and then they'll be met by drivers to do the local stuff.
How about the fact that they need to be either refueled or recharged? How does that work?
What you're going to see is it done with big trucking companies that have routes that they run every night. Like the mail routes run for here. I have a mail route that runs to Clarksville every day and back and forth. They'll do the automated. They don't have to go very far off the 4-lane road to get there, in and out of them. Like there's a lot of runs that FedEx, Freight, and UPS ground all have big warehouse stuff off of the interstate of 40, but they have another one in they run loads every night, up to Knoxville, and then it goes on up into Virginia. And so it just loops there so they can loop them back and run them on a consistent time back and forth. It doesn't have to be the same trailer.
Yeah, and not only that, Domino's is experimenting with these robot cars that are in major cities, and drones in delivering their pizza. So this is something that's definitely going to be happening eventually. And I can't see automation being put aside. I mean, that's one of the big fears, of course, that everybody has, that automation is going to replace them. A lot of people are thinking that computer automation might be replacing lawyers shortly as well, which I'm not sure if that's a good idea or a bad idea. But lawyers are not one of the most favored nation professions. There's more bad jokes about lawyers than there are about probably any other profession out there, but
the lawyers are people we love to hate, right? Is that it?
Yeah, when you need them, you need them. When you don't need them, you hate them, and that's all there is to it.
They charge a lot of money. Yeah, like if you get a $1 million settlement, you're lucky if you get $400,000 out of it after the lawyer's fees.
Well, not only that, where you see the lawyers really making money is on these class action suits. They make a ton of dough on class action, and the people that bring that, they make a pittance, and then the average person who's part of that settlement makes pennies. Tell
me about it. Daniel's business is changing soon because there's a ruling in, I don't know if it's federal or California, but it's going to change his business drastically. He's a lawyer and he does labor disputes, and his business is going to change drastically because they're changing the rules in California, and it's going to be it's no longer going to be a viable business for him.
Wow, that's horrible. Somebody mentioned FedEx, and I wasn't going to bring this story up this week because it doesn't take place till June 28th. But FedEx and FedEx Ground are changing their signing system. FedEx and Ground will enable what they call ID scanning functionality for deliveries for adult signatures required packages. So if you send something that needs a signature right now, they are going to want to scan your driver's license to make sure that you are the actual recipient. And what they're saying is it won't take any more information from your driver's license other than your last name, your first name, and your date of birth to ensure that you're over 21. And I just think that is not going to go over very well.
Well, wait a second. Back up a second. Are you sure that they need it to be the exact addressee? Because more often than not, the way it's worded is any adult signature.
Basically, I just read the email that FedEx sent me. So if you guys get FedEx, you probably got that same email that I did. And it is, Tina and I were talking about it because Tina does the logistics. I think it's a crazy idea. What if you send something to a big corporation and it goes to the mailroom? Is the guy who runs the mailroom going to have to show his driver's license?
I'm sure they'll have provisions for that. I'm sure there's a lot of packages that go to mailrooms. I'm sure they're going to have to figure it out.
The bigger question is then you send up, you got to deal with identity theft, because a lot of times you can link it to the social security number, find that, and all of a sudden you got picture and everything on the ID, and you can fraud.
Yeah, I would think that that is a crazy. It's a crazy idea, and I don't know how the public is going. I mean, my first reaction was, "What? I don't want to give them my driver's license when I get a package."
Exactly.
Who are they? It's an interesting thing. I just got my new driver's license, and I'll tell you the whole story in less than 30 seconds. I got my driver's license online from the state of Nevada. Tina put it in a box with some things to go to me back in March 11th. It was some supplements, some vitamin supplements. Came here via FedEx Express, yada, yada, yada. I got it yesterday, just the license, because I begged them just to open the box and send me they wanted so much documentation and proof for these prescription supplements to come to me that I said, throw them in the garbage. They were only $15. Just send me the license. And I just got the license yesterday. And when I looked at the license, the wording had changed from this license is not good for federal ID, but now it says this license, this is not good for identification, which is crazy. What does your license say?
In California, we just start, or we're part of the Real ID system. Isn't Nevada part of the Real ID system?
Yes, it is. And so I went down. This is another great story. I went down there with my Real ID. I had to give them 2 bills. I had to give them proof of my address. And when I got my license with the Real ID, they sent it to the wrong address. They had the wrong address on my license. And so when I told them that, I went back in. They gave me the license with the correct address, but they stripped off the Real ID, and I've never gotten the Real ID back since then. So,
yeah, wow. Jan, how do you attract all these crazy situations? Oh my God.
I'm a lucky guy. I'm just a lucky guy.
Speaking of crazy situations, though, so we had a crazy situation. I put the link in the chat. We had a crazy situation at the corporate gig that I did yesterday. The presenter was on stage. The presenter happens to be a lady by the name of Olivia Wilde. You happen to know of her? She's a film director, right? So she was talking about her new film called, I don't know what, something. Anyway, she was talking about her new film and stuff. And this lady comes up from the audience and hands her a manila envelope, like a big, 8.5 by 11 size manila envelope. And she says, "Oh, for me? Oh, how nice. Oh, I'll have to open it." She opens it and she looks at it for a second, then she puts it down. She's like, "Oh, let's get on with the talk." Okay. And she goes on with the talk. Turns out it was some kind of legal documents from Jason Sudeikis, because they were a couple and they have 2 kids together. So she was basically probably served or something at our event.
Yeah, that's exactly right. She was served. There's a movie called Pineapple Express about that, where the guy, where what's the guy's name? I got mental block on the guy that always smokes pot. What's his name?
Yeah, that guy, Seth Rogen.
Yeah, Seth Rogen. Yeah, he plays a process server. And he's got all these costumes, and he changes his outfit and he's like the best server in the world. Yeah.
So now in the article that I put the link to, it says, like, how did she get in there? How did she? She must have had to pay to get in there and stuff. But whatever, it was very odd.
That's crazy. Yeah, she's an actress as well. Good actress as well.
And the funny thing is, so while it was happening, we're all, the people running the show, not me, but the stage manager and the producer talking on headset, should we go? Maybe we should send somebody out to get that envelope. The envelope was so distracting looking because it's like manila, and she's got this beautiful blue suit on, and she's like, it was just very distracting to have that envelope, right there in her hands for the whole talk. So they were talking about going to get it from her. That would have been even more interesting, huh?
Well, actually, if they would have sent, someone from a tech crew wearing a black shirt, black pants.
Yeah, well, that was the thought. That was the thought, but it didn't actually happen. Is my point.
Or she could have put it down on the floor while she was talking, but then again, it would be very distracting. It was
kind of like hot potato, though, right?
Or she could have said, "Hey, could somebody?" She could have just held it out like that.
She was totally flustered, but she wanted to get on with her talk, So
yeah, well, that's
pretty
a professional.
She was very professional.
She didn't rant about it. Damn this
nothing. You're right. That's what I would have thought. Yeah, right. But nothing about what the contents of the envelope were. She went, "Oh, this. Oh, okay. Let's get on," or something. I'm not sure what she said. We weren't recording.
Yeah. Well. So now, where was this?
Caesar Palace, the Coliseum at Caesar's Palace. It's a convention called CinemaCon. It's theater owners. And so it was the Warner Brothers presentation to theater owners here in Las Vegas.
Now, have you ever been to this show before? Has anybody in the room been to this show before? It's one of my favorite shows to go because they give you, you know how you go to the movies and they have these candies that are about, the size of Alabama,
Large size, yeah, yeah.
And what they do is they give that away. So you go into the exhibit room and you load up bags and bags of candies. They used to be the best swag. I used to love to go to CinemaCon.
Okay. Is it free to go to CinemaCon?
Meyer, all the manufacturers that sell equipment,
Cinema theater systems, right?
So I got a pass from Meyer Sound Labs, and so that's how I would go to it. But I'm sure I believe they do charge to go, but then the manufacturers let you in.
So for what it's worth, speaking of speakers, so the speaker system they installed in the Caesars Coliseum is exceptional. It's a QSC system, and QSC apparently has a lot of cinema theaters, sound systems in theaters these days. But I don't know if you guys been to the Coliseum at Caesars? I had not been there before. It's a pretty large room, very high ceiling, and holds about, a few thousand people, 5,000 maybe. It's got a balcony and an orchestra section. Anyway, very large room. Stage is probably, 100-foot proscenium opening or something, pretty large. And so they put up this giant screen for digital projection, and then they put up this giant sound system for total Atmos sound system in a room that size. It was amazing. And I had my SPL meter out during one of the clips. It was so loud. I was like, what is that? Oh, it's 100 dB SPL, A-weighted slow. So, and it was, and the low end was way louder than that. It was just incredible. And just very surrounding too, the Atmos thing, very, very surrounding, speakers everywhere. It's just amazing what these guys are doing.
What were you doing? Kenny, what were you doing?
It's CinemaCon. It's you're familiar.
What was your?
Warner Brothers? Okay, and so I did Warner Brothers last night, and then tomorrow night I do Lionsgate.
So you were mixing A1?
Yeah, not for the film though. So the films are what they call DCPs, digital cinema packages, and they go directly from the playback device, whatever that is, directly to the digital cinema sound system. So I don't have anything to do with that part. But I'm just doing the voices and a small playback from the video playback device.
So Kenny, are you in the Coliseum, the actual theater?
The Coliseum, yeah.
Okay, because they built a big building across the street called the New Coliseum, and it's a convention hall.
Oh, that's not where
that's what stumped me because
we're in the Coliseum where like Sting and Adele was supposed to play. All these people play there.
I just got a gig in June for the New Coliseum, which is the big ballrooms over there.
Sure, that's pretty spectacular too. I mean, this place is not about small stuff. It's amazing.
Yeah,
this is the first time I've been here in a long time.
The rooms are huge.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah. See, this is the room and I'm in the Caesars hotel room right now. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, those the drapes are almost like the casino floor. Very hard.
Exactly, right? Yeah.
They don't want you looking down at the floor. They definitely don't want you looking at the drapes. That's for
pretty
sure.
spectacular. And they told me that when Adele came in here, she actually rehearsed in here for 3 weeks. They as in the Adele production people, had the hotel staff, like the Caesars people, remove all of their equipment. It had to get out of the building. There wasn't even anywhere to put their sound system after they took it down. They took down their sound system, took down all their lights off all their pipes, took it all out of the building to a safe storage place with climate control and everything, and then brought it back a few weeks later when she canceled. And it was like they didn't even want to use the in-house intercom system. They were like, no, we don't need anything. Just give us electricity. And so they were just totally self-contained. And what Dave Torrey was telling me was that probably came from an incident that happened to her a few years ago where, what was it? You guys probably knew this. She was doing a piano and vocal thing, and the microphone in the piano fell on the piano. And she said, I am never going, and that was somebody else's microphone in the piano. She's like, I'm never going to use anybody else's production equipment ever again. I must bring my own equipment. So hence, millions of dollars must have been spent on that rehearsal setup and teardown. And
absolutely,
and then for nothing. And there's even talk that she might not even perform here. She might perform somewhere else eventually, whenever she decides she's ready to perform. Pretty crazy.
Well, look at the bright side. Our brothers in arms got paid for something.
Dave Torrey got paid for sitting at home for 5 days because he had COVID. He tested positive for COVID, so he stayed home for a few days. But hey, by the way, speaking of Vegas, did you guys know that the Mirage got sold recently, like a few months ago?
Without Mike Brown being here, I don't know anything about Las Vegas.
Yes, yes,
Mirage.
we knew it got sold.
Yeah, the Mirage got sold to the Hard Rock.
The Hard
And they're
Rock,
gonna put
yes.
a giant guitar, right, or some kind of
Yes.
guitar thing.
Is there a
Isn't
hotel?
that crazy? Because the Hard Rock sold to Virgin.
Exactly, that's my thought. So what did the Hard Rock want to do? They're just playing chess with a better location. I guess that's what it is. By the way, over $1 billion for the Mirage. How about that?
So
Wow.
wasn't there a new hotel opening today or a
Yeah,
reopening?
the
of
Palms.
hotel?
The Palms is reopening today or tonight. The Palms is apparently was sold to the same company that runs the. Oh, don't tell me the one in Southern California, the Hamada or something like that. David, do you happen to know?
Yamada. Yeah,
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
San Miguel.
that's it. San
Band of
Miguel. Yeah.
Mission Indians.
Yeah.
Yes,
So those Indians must have bought the Palms or something. Is that right?
yes, they did.
Yeah. So because I was just over there and there's a giant sign, giant LED wall on the side of the building that talks about how it's opening tonight at 9 p.m.
Where's the NFL draft going tomorrow?
That's at the Bellagio, isn't it? Isn't it on the
Part of it's at the Bellagio, and the other part is at the it's set up behind the new Coliseum. But
No kidding.
Yeah, in the back by the Link in their
Wow.
the Caesars owns that parking lot, so they set up the whole theater there.
Oh my God.
And tonight they have a drone show too. Well, they're gonna have a drone show tonight for the next 3 nights at 8:11 and 10:11
Yeah, the drone
What,
shows
outside
are
the
pretty
Caesars
impressive.
venue? Yeah.
outside of Bellagio.
Oh, no kidding. Wow.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So
At Vegas, man, they know how to market this place. Wow. It's just so jumping here. And that Caesars casino is nuts.
Well, I am homesick. I have to tell you, I am homesick. I really want to get back.
Sorry.
But that's okay. That's okay. I mean, you mentioned so many things that will lead into what I wanted to talk about right now, and I don't know if you guys are hearing this about in your market, but you were talking about the concerts and big. So for people with money, concert members get the first rights to buy tickets to any concert booked at the new Moody Center Arena in the University of Texas. So they basically have to shell out. Several hundred people paid $100 just to get on a waiting list. And the membership provides the ability to purchase seats prior to public sale going on. And basically, I think this is a story that's breaking right now. And I'm wondering if it's happening in other people's market. Are there venues that are taking membership so that you can buy tickets before the tickets go on sale?
it's almost like buying a PSL license for a sports arena.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
traditionally, a lot of those pre-sales are related to certain credit cards, right? So the credit card companies benefit in some way or somehow, are in charge of that. But now they're going to have a paid, you can get a pre-sale if you belong to this club, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they actually call it a premium seat license, so it's a PSL.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
great.
And speaking of the shows, I mean, the Lumineers, Citibank just sent me this. City Entertainment, Kid Rock, the Gabriel Iglesias, the Los Angeles Azules, the Lumineers, Pitbull, Miranda Lambert, Chris Stapleton, Keith Urban, Joripio, Andre Bocelli, Rob Zombie, Gloria Trevi, Aerosmith, Mission, Motley Crue, Sebastian Yatra, Frank Turner and the Sleeping Souls, Jira MX, Jonas Brothers are in Las Vegas, Usher, let me see, Entiacio Verdes, Derek Yu, The Black Keys, Cheer Live, Nick Cannon, Shania Twain, John Legend, Jack White, Bunbury.
What are these shows
Rod
that are in
Stewart.
Vegas or shows everywhere?
These are shows everywhere that Citibank is promoting.
Huh.
So
There's a
you can
lot
buy
of shows
the-
going on everywhere. Come on. They're everywhere. Lots of shows going on.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of shows going on.
Just like a lot of people predicted when the floodgates opened, they really, a lot of water came out of them.
Yeah, I mean, basically, Little Nas just announced this tour. Deadmau5 announced their tour. Cryptocurrency Exchange with Luna was on tour. Blue Note Entertainment announced the launch of a new blues festival that's going to be taking place. So, and that's
Where are
going to be
Where
in
are all these
California.
where are all these concert goers coming from? You know?
Well, in Las
Oh.
Vegas, they come from all over the world. In Las Vegas, they come from all over the world because that's one, a lot of tours start in Vegas and end in Vegas because it's basically, especially with sport events as well. People come from all over the world to support their team, and Las Vegas is now, without a doubt, the entertainment capital of the world. I don't think anybody could debate that, or at least have a winning
Well,
debate.
it's just another stop on the tour circuit for pop and rock and whatever entertainers. But they really, in typical Vegas fashion, they really do it up, and they have a lot of shows going on and a lot of things happening all the time.
Yeah,
But it's like, you can come here and just go, yeah, I'm just going to go to Vegas, and you will be entertained if you want to be entertained, is the bottom line. I went to see David Foster at the Wynn. That was interesting. Also, did anybody do a gig at the Wynn? David, you been there yet?
I have equipment. I sold equipment to their theater.
So you're the problem. Okay, so that was what I was going to say. The sound system in there, it's like supposedly this amazing theater. You know what the sound system is?
I forgot, but I didn't sell. I sold them a console.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't see their console because David Foster people had their own. But they have a DV-DOS system in there. Can you believe it? I mean, this is a new theater installed in probably the last few years, sometime 3 years or so. And they've got a DV-DOS based sound system. It appalled me that, like, who would put a new, a sound system in a new place that's 20 years, sound system is 20 years old. That's crazy.
Well,
Who is mixing
today,
David Foster?
Sorry.
Who is mixing David Foster?
So is Carmen Educate.
the interesting thing, Kenny, about that is that who would do that right now? Right now, you can't buy new gear. So if you have
This was a few years ago that they built this place, but I was
Yeah.
appalled that they put in a relatively new place, built a few years ago. They've got this DV-DOS sound system. I'm just thinking there's so many better sound systems they could have put in there, but the bean counters must have taken it over,
Yeah, how's the Westgate? What kind of system do they have?
Oh,
Do they
that's
have
the best in
state-of-the-art?
there. Oh, come on, that is the best in there. It's such a joke.
EAW 850s?
No, that's hanging upstage. Upstage, it's still there. But
Don't-
the Bose system that they got for nothing from Bose is still what we use at the Westgate. It's a
Really?
joke. But but it's an old room, remember? Yeah, but it's all Bose. Yeah.
Last time I was in there, there was 760s.
Oh
The line-
yeah,
the
they're hanging upstage there.
Really?
Yeah, they're not wired up or anything. They're not ready to go. That's we were going to try to sell them to some third world country or something, but Jan said you can't even sell those things.
Oh, funny.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of the Westgate and Barry Manilow, I just text you something but you probably saw it. Dr. Pepper. Have you know what I'm talking about now, Kenny? With Dr. Pepper? You're muted for a sound engineer. I'll let you slide this time. But Dr. Pepper, are you familiar with
Dr.
what I'm
Pepper,
talking
the
about?
berry flavored, and you have to be named Barry to get the berry flavored Dr. Pepper. So who do they feature? Barry Manilow. I guess there's no other famous Barrys these days.
Yeah, but I haven't seen Barry in a long time, but he looked really good. It's amazing what
That's
money
what
can
I
do
said
for
too.
you.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing what a little makeup does. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing what money can do. I mean,
Even
that
up
guy
close?
is
Yeah, well, on film,
yeah, I'm sure, some people age well. It seems like Manilow has aged quite well.
Well, he
and
had some plastic surgery done years ago that everybody considers a real botch job, but because it really changed his look a lot. But we sort of get used to it.
Yeah, I mean, his face is really thin and that, but at least he doesn't use the shoe polish on his hair like Wayne Newton did, for years.
So a friend of mine just did a corporate gig at the Bellagio, and who'd they have for an entertainment? Wayne Newton.
Yeah, just remember, by the way, everything you hear in this show is an opinion, so do your own research.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, do your own research. Oh man. Yeah, so that commercial, I saw it. I saw it on Twitter. It was running on Twitter. So
Elon Musk allowed it then, I guess. Huh?
Well, Elon Musk doesn't own it yet. Elon Musk doesn't own it yet. So basically that's what's going on. But things are really moving along. So before the show started, and Jeremy, if you're in the room and you want to come in and talk about this, it seems that Michael Strickland has been able to put something together for us to get some money for the Music Act. Jeremy's listening in. I think he's in his car. Jeremy, you want to talk about it, or maybe somebody else in the room wants to talk about it? Because I didn't see the email. I usually get about 3-4 emails a week from Michael Strickland, but I didn't get one in this case about the money that's available. Does anybody have any knowledge about that?
The Music Act hasn't gone through yet. It's supposed to not come back till come into the floor till the second week of May.
Yeah.
But did anybody look at the summary of the Save Our Stages grant that came out in April, and who all got what money?
No, but I would think that Claire got. I know that Claire got millions. I think
Claire got 10 million. 8day got 10 million. Clearwing got 16.7 mil. All Access got 10 mil.
Is this free money, or is that they got to pay back?
That's grant.
Oh, that's friggin' awesome.
But so we got to put up with them. Certain people get free money and other people don't.
Well, it's kind of like the rich get richer, isn't it, Ken?
Speaking of class action lawsuit, there supposedly is a class action lawsuit against the SBA for a lot of production companies that did get rejected.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's the old expression, the rich get richer and the poor have children, I think is what they say,
Well, we just got turned down for an additional EIDL loan. You know how they were throwing that out there, trying to get people to.
Yeah, they sent me an email, said, you can get more money. You got turned down? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, we're sorry to hear that.
So here, let's read from Jeremy's note. He says, "Hey Jan, I'm working with the company to get all my paperwork together for the Music Act. Let me know if you're interested, and I can give you or anyone else my contact to make sure you get signed up and have access to this grant when it comes out. Not sure yet if it's going to be the Music Act or as part of the bigger bill. Whichever one passes, now is a good time to get everything together."
Yeah, Jeremy, if you want to come in the room, hey, I'm working with a company to get all the paperwork. Jeremy, if you want to come in the room and say something about it to add more than this, we would love to hear you. I know that I think you're driving, but if you could just turn on your microphone, that would be great.
Oh, he's doing a tech rehearsal. It says here, so okay. He can't actually talk. He can type but not talk.
Well, there you go. So
hey,
Ken, you can read
exciting things.
Saying.
So next week is the beginning of the World Stage auction. Also, you guys know about that, I'm sure. Bruce, I knows about that. That's one of the biggest auctions of technical equipment, or whatever you call it, show equipment.
It's so amazing.
Did you look at the listing online?
I looked at the list of gear, and it just goes on forever. I got tired after a while.
Right. I started looking at it more in depth today. Not the list of gear. That's the PDF, I guess you're talking about. But I was looking at they actually have photos of the lots and then very minimal descriptions of what's in them. So I was going to go down to the place in Tustin on Monday, I guess. Yeah, Monday, and look at the actual lots and see. But it's they have a lot of, the lot I like is it's got a bunch of D&B speakers and a bunch of amp racks. And it's they want you to buy all that stuff in one lot. Oh, yeah, sure. I want some XTI amps with my D&B speakers. Sure, for sure.
Well, the thing is there are going to be people that are going to be buying this right now because there is a lack of equipment out there, at least certain equipment out there for what people need, because there are more shows than there are gear, and that's all there is to it.
Unfortunately, a lot of the world stage equipment is a little bit outdated, and I have a feeling the prices are going to be higher than they should be.
I think on the site they had this is what they're offering, and then it was like a retail. And I got to be honest, that's the way it was hard to understand. But
yeah, you're looking at the PDF. There's also a listing of day-by-day auctions, because there's 5 days of auctions. Okay. And then if you I looked at day 2, that wasn't any good, but day 3 in Tustin, I think, was the one where it had a lot of audio gear. and it was like all the lots individually listed, and it tells the starting bid, and that's all it tells, other than a sort of a brief description of what's in the lot. I should put the link to that in the chat.
I thought their packaging looked kind of weird. It almost looked like
to say the least, man.
Yeah, guys in suits were doing the packages because they didn't know what the hell they were talking about.
Exactly. Oh no, that's my point. Totally, Bruce. Totally.
I always know when a guy in a suit designs a road case because it fucking doesn't work.
Speaking of which, I love CT's road cases. Whoever designs CT's road cases is a genius.
Because I was over there yesterday.
Have you noticed their latches? Their latches have enough room that they fall down, and they actually are recessed when they're in the open position. There's no other cases that I've seen anywhere in the world that are like that. It's so great. You cannot rip your shins on CT cases.
Yeah, when you get your mixer out, if the lid doesn't go on it because the wheels are in the way, that means a suit designed that case.
Exactly. So, Tina is way ahead of me. Tina put the link in there. So World Stage Day 1, then there's a World Stage Day 2, and so forth. And then some of the days are East Coast based. But I was going to go down to Tustin and check it out. Are you going to go down, David?
I'm working.
On Monday?
Yeah,
that's
David
right.
and I are on Milken.
Oh, yeah, right.
I was prepping it yesterday, and we load in tomorrow.
By the way, I just want to give a public service announcement. One of the best case manufacturers in the world happens to be in this room right now, Spectrum Cases. And for years they made the Soundcraft, all the Soundcraft cases, if I'm correct. And I believe that they are still very active in the case manufacturing business. If somebody wants to say something about that, I'd love to hear it.
We're so far behind, it's crazy right now.
Really?
I just spoke to Mountain, because I have an order for some motors. Well, first of all, they're not delivering any motors at all. They don't know when they're going to get their new batch of motors on 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever. They've got hundreds of orders right now. So I would be like 100th on the totem pole. But he told me that they can't get cases. They can't even give a guesstimate of when they're going to get the cases.
R&R has stopped taking orders.
You stopped taking orders for cases, eh?
R&R has. Mine just has a time delay so long I can't. A lot of people go somewhere else.
Wow, that's too bad.
That's what's happening right now, and this is we're already over an hour into this, and I don't want to get too deep into the weeds about what's going on, but reality is that the supply chain issues are outrageously bad right now for us, and not only that, it's like we're heading into a perfect storm of what's going to happen when the manufacturers can catch up. And a lot of the gear that you can't seem to find, because during the pandemic, a lot of companies sold their equipment to companies that don't do touring, like churches, for example, or installs. So you can't sub-rent or cross-rent that. I mean, there's no projectors to be had. You can't even cross-rent a projector if you want to right now.
So the guys from Digico, I saw them at NAB, and they were telling me about the Dante chip shortage. You familiar with that?
Everyone's familiar with that. That's in our industry. What did they tell you?
They said that they end-of-lifed, the chip manufacturer end-of-lifed the main chip for the Dante interface. And so a lot of Audinate is trying to figure out a new chip that will fulfill those needs, and because they can't make any Dante products without that chip,
Well, a lot of people have gone with AVB, especially Avid, and now Meyer is there as well, but it still doesn't. The AVB, from my understanding, now I'm not an engineer, you guys know more about it than I do for sure, but it seems that that's the other technology that's doing the talking in the interface. What do you guys know about that? Ken?
I see a lot of speaker manufacturers going to Milan, like Meyer and L Acoustics and D&B. I haven't seen Milan. I think the only one that has a Milan card is Avid at the moment. I haven't seen the other manufacturers. And then there's still the direct out to Prodigy that adapts stuff and gets stuff in different places too that's going out there.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're going to have to adjust somehow as an industry. And it's not going to be like an instantaneous adjustment because there are so many consoles out there that use the Dante. So many pieces, not just consoles, but so much equipment, so many speakers, everything it talks with it, especially in the television world, the streaming world. All this Dante is out there, and it's not going anywhere near in the near future. So they're going to have to do something. But to end it life, that's going to be crazy.
And part of the reason for that was because we, as the whatever our industry is called, audio or production or something industry, are like this much of the chip manufacturers, sales. So they're not interested in our industry at all. And so when somebody like the automobile industry comes along and says, hey, we need millions and millions of these chips, they're like, yeah, okay, we'll make those and we'll end of life the other ones. And so that's what I think he suggested happened.
Yeah, it's not good business practice when that happens. And I know because I'm dealing with this right now with Avid and their profile system, where people are saying, well, I can't get a schematic of this particular board that I have. I could fix it myself if I could get a schematic, but I can't get a schematic, and nobody's assisting. Of course, that's good for me because I'm selling Avid parts. And
Speaking of that kind of thing, did you hear that Apple just today started their fix-it-yourself repair, segment of their company? They have in other words, until today, you couldn't get anything Apple repaired.
Couldn't get parts.
Get the information for individuals on how to repair an Apple item, but now you can, according to news stories.
Right. Well, iFixit, if you're not familiar with iFixit, they've been around for a long time, and they have been providing the tools and the parts as well. Although they were not factory specific.
They're not endorsed. They're not endorsed by Apple, though.
That's right.
So this is actually endorsed by Apple. You got an Apple website that's called, I forget, but I'll put it in the chat.
Well, there you go. So there's some news for you. I mean, this show has been full packed with news and information that you could use. I think that's somebody else's slogan, so I'm not going to use that, but do your own research for that. But with this in mind, I want to thank everybody who came from social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, if you're watching it, Twitter, wherever you're watching the show. I really do appreciate it. Please give it the thumbs up and subscribe. That always helps, and that'll help our position in social media. We are growing, which is really, really good. So people are out there are liking it. 99 views on Facebook last week. That's pretty impressive, even for me. Even though, if I was a famous or a celebrity, it would be millions of views. I'm happy with 99. I'd be even happier with 100. Just an FYI. So all you guys can go to your own Facebook page, click the like button here, or even tag yourself in it. I would love that if you did that. But if you didn't, hey, so be it. But we'll be back again next week. But before we say goodbye, I'm going to open the room up. If there's anybody want to say anything to anybody out there in the world, now would be the time. Okay, that's it. All right, goodbye, everybody.
I have a quick question. I heard, and you guys will probably know the answer to this. Are you guys Mac users? I heard that with the latest Mac operating system, they totally changed how USB is handled. And so a lot of our USB devices are disabled with the latest operating system from Apple. Anybody know about that?
I just upgraded to Monterey myself, and I haven't had any problem with any USB. No USB. As a matter of fact, they fixed some of the things that weren't working correctly with USB, like, for example, with the screens. So I was having a problem with Big Sur, which is the prior version, that when my screen would go to sleep, the exterior screen would stay on, but my main Mac would shut the screen off. And the only way that I was able to get my main screen back was to unplug my auxiliary screen. But with Monterey, they have fixed that, and that is a USB. Bruce.
Hi, I have a question before we take. Well, people listening in might have this question too, but I am not like, I have all these computers and I'm not a computer geek at all, but I'm running Mojave, which I think was the last of the 32-bit, right? So I've been afraid because for the longest time, upgrading to the whatever the next one is, which is 64.
Catalina's next up. Catalina.
Right. I'm worried that Smart, which is what I run on my Mac and my Mo2 and all the Yamaha console file builder things and all this stuff won't work. And I've been sort of tracking that a little bit. Has anybody got any stories about that?
What version of Smart are you running?
8.
Okay, well, if you're running version 8, it's totally 64-bit capable. And by the way, there's a little app, a little utility called Go64. You can download, and it'll search your hard drive for all your non-compatible apps. So with that Go64, you just run it real quickly. It's a real simple utility. And then you'll see that you'll probably, with I know you'll have your current apps, and they'll all be 64-bit capable. You may have some little thing somewhere that's not 64-bit, but it's rare these days. So you're probably fine to upgrade to Catalina. But I'm in the same exact boat with my work computers.
Yeah, I run 2 Macs and 2 Dell, laptops, and my Mac is the one that I've been afraid to go up to 64 because I just don't know what's going to work and what doesn't.
Exactly. I feel exactly the same way. I'm with you 100%, but I'm thinking about making that move to Catalina.
Right. Well, there's two things I will tell you. There's 2 things I will tell you regarding that. Number one is before you do anything, back up. There are 2 great apps, Carbon Cloner and Super Duper. I use Super Duper. So you back up your hard drive completely, so it's a bootable hard drive, and if anything goes wrong, you could just put it right back, go back to the operating system. It's really simple to easy to do.
So the Mac backup on the hard drive, that's not good enough?
Well, the Mac backup, you mean Time Machine?
Time Machine, yeah.
Yeah, Time Machine is good, but it's not a clone. Okay. Oh. In other words, but I was just going to say, Jan, as much as it's portrayed as a clone and it's great and everything, don't trust it. Don't trust it. So because, for example, you have a Smart has a license, right? You have these apps that have licenses and stuff. Those licenses do not transfer over to that clone, right? Correctly. In other words, they may say that they do, but when you if you boot your computer from that clone hard drive, once you clone it to a new hard drive and you boot it from that hard drive, a lot of things I found, my experience is that they don't work. So as much as it's a clone of all your data, and all your data is 100% exactly as it was on your other hard drive, your little licenses and things like that are tricky, not so much, it's important to, for instance, like
I agree with you. I agree with you to a point, but if you use Carbon Copy Cloner, you're actually cloning the whole hard drive, everything about it, so that when you boot to that hard drive, it's 100%. The computer doesn't know the difference.
So you think Carbon Copy Cloner is better than Super Duper in that way? Because I use Super Duper. I do. Okay, so I should try Carbon Copy Cloner. So you have authorizations on iTunes, things like that. That's specific to that, that computer and that software that's in there. It's really tricky sometimes.
Go ahead,
Bruce.
When I bought my new Mac, which now is 8 years old or whatever, Smart and you just mentioned it a minute ago. Smart. There was AIS. I had to go back and tell them that I got a new computer, and they gave me a new, sign in ID, whatever the hell it is, to make it work, and it was fine. But yeah, we have to jump through a few hoops for sure. So
IAS has a really cool licensing scheme that you can deactivate it yourself. Same thing with Smart, you can deactivate it yourself. The key is to do those deactivations before you start your new computer. Deactivate and then you reactivate on the new computer. And as long as you keep track of what apps need that and do it properly, it's smooth as silk because those apps run really well. But the thing is, if you don't, like I did, I recently sold a computer and I went, oh darn, I forgot to deactivate this, and I forgot to deactivate a lot of things, and that bit me when I was trying to set up my new computer that replaced it.
Yeah. Well, what I will say, one other thing, Bruce, is that most of the Macs are compatible with the 64-bit is compatible with everything you have probably. But Kenny did give you a good advice. It's the new M1 chips that you have to be careful with on the new Macs that will not be compatible with.
Oh, if I bought a new computer.
Well, the thing is, well, tell me about that, Jan. Isn't there an app that's kind of like a go-between so that you can run your non-M1 apps on the M1 computer?
Yes, but I'm reading a lot about that people are having a lot of problems with that, and that it's not recommended. It's not recommended.
Good to know. Good to know. Thanks.
Yeah. But they're having, there's some issues with the M1 right now that they're working out. I'm not really familiar with it because I'm not really following that close because I don't own an M1 Mac. I still have a MacBook Pro from 2020.
And by the way, your video is frozen for some reason, Jen. You look really cool. But anyway, hey, Bruce, cool. Bruce, I'm just I lost the question I was going to ask you, but I was wondering about what software you use.
It doesn't get an old suck, Kenny.
Oh my God, I hate that. Sorry.
Things just disappear when I'm in the middle of a sentence.
I'm telling you.
Okay, I'm sorry. What was your question?
If I remember the question, I'll tell you.
Oh, what apps was I using?
Well, yeah, just because maybe you'll trigger my memory that I was going to ask you something about apps. Oh, that's what it was. Studio Manager. I was going to ask you if you still use Yamaha Studio Manager. That's what it was.
You know what? I haven't been on an LS9 or an M7 in so long.
Good. Well, that's
see
one of the apps.
I see it here, but I don't know if it actually works or not. But
now the M7 has a separate sort of app that is 64-bit, but I think any other console that was supported by Studio Manager, you're out of luck. I think I'm not positive, but the M7, surprisingly enough, had some little utility so that you can use an F7 with a 64-bit version of Studio Manager or something like that.
I got a stupid question. If I'm running a CL5, and I did I built the console on the CL, editor, right? Does the CL editor bolt up to the CL5 so you can run both at the same time, or is that a studio?
What do you mean bolt up to run at the same time?
I usually just build my console, put it on a thumb drive, take it to the show, and load it.
Okay,
right?
So you know what I usually do?
What do you do?
I do that, and then when I get to the venue, I connect my computer to the console, and I'm constantly changing things on the computer instead of on the console because it's so much easier to change them on the computer than on the console.
I have never done that before. My computer.
That's it. Yeah, you and most other people. I get looks when I tell the guy I want to do that. They're like, "What? Why would you want to do that?"
The X32 and the M32 are the only two consoles that I run my computer at the same time because you can't do anything on those goddamn things.
But you can do a lot on the software.
Oh, it's so easy on the software. So I keep it running. I do everything on the computer, and I push faders on the console. But
there you go.
Those things are boat anchors. I hate those things.
No kidding. But and everybody uses them. So anyway, that's something you can do with the CL5 all the time. And one of the cool things about it, by the way, is the Dugan control panel, because now you can have the Dugan and you can watch your Dugan on your computer, and it's real time. You can see what's happening with the Dugan, even though you've got your main screen on your console set to whatever you want to see.
So will Editor do that, or do you have to use something else to do that?
It's CL5 Editor. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, it will. Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know if you have to use Studio Manager.
No, CL5 and CL, QL, and TF all do that.
Cool.
Are you doing that when you're on? Ken, are you doing that when you're on the DigiCup?
No way. No, I haven't even thought about doing that. Have you? Have you got a computer hooked up to?
No, I've got the the offline editor, but I've yet to plug them together and see what happens.
Oh yeah, I ditto. I've never even thought about doing that. The closest I've come to that is using the iPad app, which is okay, but it's not like the console,
I was just thinking of using that as another window more than anything.
Yeah, that would be Well, the iPad. But yeah, you're right. If I could have the computer online with the console, I'm not sure. Can you even do that with the Digico? Anybody know?
The 225 is set up to do that.
What about the SD series?
Not sure.
Yeah, I'm definitely not sure. That's a good one. That's a good one, Kurt, because that would probably be helpful.
In the offline editor, you can't look at the I/O, the rack, unless you're connected to the console, which is connected to the rack. So they must be able to coexist because you couldn't program routing From the
without the
computer.
stuff. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, okay.
Ken,
Wow.
have
Now
you
I know
had-
what I'm doing later. I'll hook it up.
Cool.
Ken, or Kurt, have you guys updated your waves to 13 yet and had any problems?
I don't think I'm running version 13, but why isn't that the one that costs money? They're charging money for that.
Not that I know of, because I.
Oh, so then you're just talking about the plugins or the actual Super Rack?
Super Rack.
Yeah, I don't think I'm running Super Rack version 13. Am I? I don't know.
I'm waiting on supply chain for my stuff.
Well, it's
Thinking of
very
that-
interesting.
We're thinking of
Very, very interesting what we're talking about. So listen, let
it's
me say
thrilling.
goodbye to the people. Let me just say goodbye to the people on Facebook and YouTube. I know I'm not, my video is not working correctly right now, but I guess that's because we've been on too long. But that's okay. There it is. I can see my picture here. Look at that. I could turn the picture on and off, on and off, on and off. Anyway, with that in mind, just remember, you make it happen. Have a great week. Have a phenomenal life. Until I speak to you again and you come and join our panel, we'll be back again next Wednesday. And with that, we can say that we're off the air right now, but we're going to continue this conversation. So if you want to come and join us, remember you can just by DMing me from any of the social media platforms or sending an email to me at soundbroker@gmail, and we'll send you an invite so you can join the panel. Thanks again for watching. Stay safe, and remember, you make it happen. So go out and make it happen. And we are off